Welcome to an amateur engineering rental car review. I'm currently driving a 2016 Ford Focus Basic AF edition, featuring a fuckload of traffic, which is super cool. Hang on, this might get weird. Hey, everybody was cool. Anyway, this car might be my favorite car that I've driven in the past 2 years, 3 years maybe, because it is so shitty, it's good. Now, it's great fun because currently I would think this is the most textbook, if not one of the most textbook, slow car, fast cars, in that you can drive it 9/10, maybe 8/10 if, you want to take it a little easy on the tires, which we'll get to that in a second. You can take it just absolutely. Let me fix my stash situation here. It's a bad stash day. Anywho, this car, I love it. It's so awesome. You can fucking mob corners in this thing. Just really give it a go. Let's see what we got here. Bam. Like, that was 30 miles an hour, not a serious corner, and just a right-hand turn onto any other street. And just, you could feel the G-forces, and the tires are talking to you. Not because they're good and they're supposed to talk to you like, nice sport tires, because they're so bad, they're about to break loose at any given time, which shouldn't happen in a car like this. I mean, I'm talking that turn out of my neighborhood. If I were to hit that at a quarter throttle with a little too much on the steering wheel, you'd start squealing a tire. It would start breaking loose. There's no power. This thing might have 100 horsepower to the ground. It's just that bad. It's like riding on glass. They'll probably last a while. Granted, this thing has 37,000 miles on it and is a year old-ish. So, as with all rental cars, it is beat. Go over here a little bit. Take it into low here. Let this guy go out and see if we can give it the full beans. Bam. 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, 5, 6 miles an hour, about highway speed. If you would, it is Atlanta, so I'm still about 25 under, 2.5 miles an hour under the average highway speed here. So as you can see, not really a screamer. Obviously, the fun in this isn't on a straight line or on the highway. It's grocery getting. This thing will send your groceries flying. There's a lot of space, kind of in the cab. The back seats are kind of a joke, but there's plenty of trunk space if we do get to the more useful, practical, because this is an econo box. It's an A to B. It is a grocery getter, but it is fucking fun. It's a relatively long wheelbase for such a narrow car, so it lends itself to really throwing in and out of corners, and it's somewhat stable. And honestly, I think this would be less fun if it had good tires on it. It's the fact that the tires are so bad, and these are almost new tires. They have plenty of tread. They're just bad by design. They're not like bald. They're so bad, they squeal and give you that simulation of speed because you can feel them hopping around and just kind of squealing, and it makes you feel like you're going at least 25 miles an hour faster than you actually are. Not to mention the wind buffeting. I'm sure you can hear plenty right now. I've got the air off. That's all wind. We went over the practical things. The ergonomics, total shit, obviously. The seats, uncomfortable. The position of the shifter, a little too far towards me. The dashboard, actually not bad. The way your gauges are laid out and all of your radio and your air conditioning is too low. So all your climate controls are below everything and almost in where the cigarette ashtray would be on any other car, but we know that cars don't come with those anymore. There's a little pouch cubby underneath that, but they're a little too low. The sound system, awful. The features in the sync, the Ford sync, slow, terrible. I don't know if in some of their other cars they have a nicer, faster sync. I certainly hope so. For example, hit the button. Call my wife.
Say a command.
Never mind.
Try saying a device name like phone or USB. Main menu.
How about
say a command.
cancel?
Canceling.
See, it's just a half second too slow. I mean, if they were just to pick it up just a touch, it'd be a little bit better. Oh, there's a hill hold mode. I'm not sure why. Because I don't know how it works, because I've parked on a hill, and I've let go, it stays, and then whoop, starts rolling back in forward gear. And you put it in a forward gear, and hit the stupid little hold button, it's over here on the side of the stupid shift lever, and it holds, and then at the exact same amount of time that the first one went back, it too just goes bloop, back. I haven't tried it in low. That's probably how you have to do it. I think it's silly because a car with this little power should be starting off in first gear every time. Not really saving much. The fuel economy is pretty good, to be honest. By the way, the interface is dog shit in this one. On this tank, I don't know. I average 33 miles a gallon, mostly highway. But I can't complain because I've been driving this thing like a wiener, and it's still 33 miles a gallon ain't bad. But still, that's only 6 miles a gallon better than my Veloster, which is fully bolted on, intake exhaust, tune, suspension, big turbo, intercooler, everything you can possibly do short of digging into that engine with, a high boost tune. It's about 20 pounds, 21 pounds or so, and I get 27 miles a gallon. And it's 1.6 liter. I think it's a little bigger than this. It's a 1.5, I think. Not really sure what the point of that was, but 6 miles a gallon is well worth the price for a fun car. That's honestly just as comfortable, if not a little more comfortable. There's a trade-off. It's more bouncy because of the suspension than this Focus, but the seats are way better. Anywho, that's not what this is about. The brakes, they fade quickly. I mean, real quick. You get about 2 or 3 80 to 40 stops, and then you're just getting pedal squish. Just lots of movement and not enough ceasing of movement. But I fucking love this big piece of shit. This Ford Focus is awesome. And it's the first Focus that I've driven in... Crap, have I ever driven a Focus? I think I drove my friends in 2006. So that doesn't really count. That's back. And I remember it being a big piece of shit. And this one's... It's a pretty big piece of shit, especially for a year old. Even with 36,000 miles on it, you'd expect to have a little something better. but I can't complain. These things are like deep under 15, brand new. So if you need a car to get around reliably, point A to point B, whether or not you commute or, just drive, stop, go, whatever, this is not the car for you. The transmission is garbage. It wants to jerk and slip coming off of the line, a dead stop. And you don't really know when it's going to shift, if it's going to shift, or if it's suddenly going to stop. That's part of the fun. That's one thing I love about it. It doesn't make it a good driver car for anybody that doesn't enjoy how terrible this is. Wait a second. Wow, I accidentally hit the hill hold mode and I thought it did something. It didn't. Another thing, it's bullshit. There's no traction control button here. You can turn traction control off, but it is behind several menus. Okay, let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Traction control is now off. You know what's cooler than that? Off. Granted, normally you wouldn't want traction control off in this car. But honestly, I can't tell. Because if I'm coming off, turning, wheels start spinning, nothing happens. You keep going. You turn the traction control off, same thing. Which is kind of where it's important. You want to be able to try to artificially transfer the load over to your other wheel. Also on the highway, it's nice and squirrely. Just you get all that wind up underneath you, and you kind of just floating on down, but knowing how bad the tires are and how bad the brakes are, it can be a little unnerving. Again, it's part of the fun for me. But anyone who's shopping for a base Focus, given that it's practical, it's inexpensive relatively. I mean, it's always cheaper to buy a used car than a brand new car. But they wouldn't want, nor do they need any of these features that I love. Well, opportunities for improvement, as PR would say. And again, this is not the car for the people. Like, I'm sure new, maybe there's a little bit, a better feel, might be a little bit smoother, but most people that are buying these are going to be buying them used, because even though they're so cheap, when they're new, used a few years old, they drop like 40% of their value easy, maybe even more. And this is where this car is at. This is how I'm considering it. I'm considering this a used car after, let's call it 3 years of use. Granted, it probably should be 5, because being a rental car exacerbates that issue. So, now you have to measure rental cars in dog years. A year as a rental is 7 years of standard car driving. And the mileage they put on in a year, 37,000 miles, is a lot. A lot. The AC is okay at best. There's no reason for it not to be really good. 2016 car AC compressors have been figured out for quite some time now. The Bluetooth sounds okay. Or maybe the sound system is so that you can't really tell any distortion or loss in quality through the Bluetooth. I think it should be 4.0, which at this point is negligible. It's not until you get into the 21 speaker mega surround systems that you can run into that issue with. which I don't have. In the future, I will. Talk about the next car. Here's an interesting feature. The mirrors up in the top left have one of those little, like, cutout extendo cedo cuz like blind spot detectors, but I can't use them shits to save my life. I'm more likely to rear end somebody squinting and trying to check my blind spots that way than anything else. Just whoop, nobody there. Nobody there. No more lanes there. So, not good. I don't see how people use those. But maybe that's just me. In conclusion, the 2016 Ford Focus is so bad, it's good. It's a terrible car for the everyman or woman and everyone in between. If you like to feel like you're going fast everywhere, this is one of the cars for you. Don't put good tires on it. Keep shitty tires on it, and you will have a blast. And you'll save money. Shitty tires put less stress on your suspension components, and they last longer. Go on and get you some, like, limestone hardness 90, 120,000 mile tires on this bitch. Fun as shit. Get it if you want. If you want a fun car that's super cheap, this is the car for you. I can't speak to the reliability. From what I hear, Ford's current offering of 4 cylinders are actually pretty good. Oh, here's my turn. But I can tell you that, assumedly, this car in 7 years from new is gonna be okay. Honestly, all the little things about it don't keep it from driving. It's started up every time. It's got me from work and everywhere that I've needed to go. I don't really have a rating system, and I don't think I will. I'm not really a fan of ratings. I think it quantifies a car in a way that doesn't apply to every person. When I rate a car, if I were to rate a car, that's not what the car is. The car has a different rating for different people, because different people have different needs for any car, be it a supercar or a super shitty car. So my impression is that I adore this car for all the wrong reasons and would never own one.